Hey guys, I am going to be showing you today how to use the FlexiFuse pre-printed bundle to make my Quilters Gonna Stash pattern. So you can turn this into like an 18 by 18 pillow, a tote bag. It can also just be a mini quilt, or it could be the centerpiece of a larger quilt. On this pre-printed bundle, it is FlexiFuse, and so it's going to be a fusible web, and all of those templates, you're not going to have to trace them. The fusible is really light but strong, and it has all of my dimensions on here for what size of piece I need to cut. Now, it's not necessary for you to cut that exactly to size, but I'm going to kind of walk you through each step, and then we're going to make this all in one go today. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to start by cutting out all of these pieces. Now, I'm just using like some micro tip scissors for this. You don't have to use anything special. You could use your crappy scissors. You could even use a rotary blade, but I'm not doing that today because I don't want to dull my rotary blade. But it will make it faster, and it's harder to show you guys too if I'm taking it over to my cutting mat instead of on top of my other table. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut all of these apart. You can see, like we talked about, that there's the dimensioning on there. So if you're not quite sure whether the piece that you have is going to work, you can just measure it and make sure it is at least that size. For today, I have some sample yardage of QT Fabrics line by Dan Morris, Euphoria Evolution. Some beautiful prints, really bright and happy. And then Earthscapes. I'm going to start with like reds, oranges, yellows up here, and then I'll come down into greens and blues and finally like purples. I'm just going to start ironing these to the wrong side of my fabric. So like I'm probably going to start with this beautiful swirl print from Euphoria Evolution. It's like a red-orange color. And I'm just going to iron my Q right onto the back of that. And what's going to happen is it's going to be reversed now. And when I cut all of this out and flip it, the Q will be facing the right direction. Okay, I'm going to show you guys the gradation that I have so far. I'm just going to kind of, so I have Q, U, I, and I kind of wanted to vary it up a little bit, L, T, E, R, and then I have G, O, N, I haven't chosen A yet. I'm trying to decide if it's going to be blue. Okay, I'm going to show you guys one really quick just so I can explain some of the details of going through this. So this is your printed side, this is your fusible side. I am going to just lay this down on the fabric that I'm wanting, and this is the wrong side of the fabric. And then I just have a dry iron. It's a cotton setting, and I'm just going to press it and hold it for like 10 seconds, just making sure that it adheres really well. And so I've just made sure to get good coverage on all of those, on the entire piece. And now I'm just going to rough cut it out. At this point, I could like entirely cut it out, but sometimes it just is a little more unwieldy if I'm trying to cut it out of a really big piece of fabric, like I am right now. So I'm just going to kind of cut it down, and then I will use these micro tips to really tune out some of these details. You can see that I've chosen out all of my fabrics. They're rough cut out, and now I am just going to start trimming these out and following the printed lines to get my applique pieces. I just started to place these, and I'm gonna go through it with you. I still have that paper backing on all of these so far, just so that I can re-iron them if I want to, or anything like that. And I do have a crease down the center. This is just to kind of help with making sure that everything is still centered. Like I can see I have about the same amount of space on each side, and I can always mathematically fix that at the end, like with a ruler, and make sure that it's exact. If you are wanting to be really precise as well, the other thing you can do is come in here with a ruler after you've squared up your background and go ahead and put lines, horizontal lines with your ruler using a friction pen or a chalk pencil or something like that, just to make sure that everything is like just so across. I'm gonna eyeball it today because that's just how I roll, but I would encourage any of you that are feeling a little more neurotic to just go ahead and make that happen. So I'm leaving a little bit of space right down here because I want to come in to this point and make it a little bit of a pennant shape. And then I'm leaving a little bit of space on top because I still have that selvage, and I'm going to cut that down. So at this point, I'm going to start taking my papers off. I could have done that at the beginning. I just wanted to make sure that everything would fit on this, as this deviates a little bit from my original pattern. So when you're starting to peel the pieces off, you're going to want to peel away from the fabric and start on a curved edge, and then just go slow to make sure that you don't rip off any little pieces on some of this text. The other thing that I didn't talk about is if you're kind of nervous about some of the finicky details of this and making sure that you cut the templates out right, for those of you that are newer to applique, I designed this pattern specifically so that it wasn't so finicky, because you can see that like in the font there's naturally kind of like divots and things like that. So if you're like, oh shoot, I just messed this up, you know what, it's actually probably going to be just fine. In fact, I ended up adding a couple of extra little like cuts and notches out of it, and I think it looks great just the way it is. So yeah, I'm gonna just keep going, taking the papers off of all of these, and then I'll make sure that they're kind of exactly where I want them, and I might actually measure with a ruler just to make sure that I kind of have some of the spacing correct before I do my final press on it to adhere that FlexiFuse backing to my background piece. I absolutely love how scrappy and fun this turned out, And this is definitely going to be going on my sewing room wall next. So, happy quilting, you guys.